Hello, friend. Steve Daly with you today. I'm talking today about the LDS president and prophet of the Mormon Church, Russell M. Nelson, and some of the changes that he has brought to the Mormon faith. Nelson came into his current position in January of 2018 at the age of 93 years of age. Today, Nelson is 97. And at 97, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you want to create a legacy, you don't have a lot of time to do it. And a legacy is what Mr. Nelson is creating for himself. Clearly, he desires to do big things and to fix the LDS Church problems, or what are perceived as problems, while he is still in office. So it appears that he's very concerned about the thousands of members who are defecting from the LDS Church annually, and he wants to stem that hemorrhaging. Nelson is also concerned about the perception amongst many of us that the Mormon Church is not a true Christian church, and that Mormons are not true Christians. 8 months into his first year as church president, Nelson issued a statement urging the use of the church's full name, an effort on his part to end the use of shorthand names for the religion that have been used for generations by church leaders, members, and amongst the general public. At the church's general conference in October of 2018, Nelson reiterated his position, telling members that the use of shorthand names such as Mormon or LDS were a major victory for Satan. Nelson has also stated, quote, that we're correcting an error that's crept in over the ages, end of quote. This reveals his confidence that previous church leaders were not as spiritual or in tune with God as he is. In a related effort to rid the church of its nicknames, Nelson has changed the name of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, which has been known as the Mormon Tabernacle Choir since 1929. But today, the church has renamed it the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now, some observers have noticed that under Russell Nelson's tenure, there has been an increased focus on the church's temples. Nelson has announced a total of 83 new temples to be built in several countries around the world. On April 3rd of this year, he is expected to announce many additional new temples. This beats out the LDS President Gordon B. Hinckley's 78 temples announced during his 13-year-long administration. Now, these buildings, of course, are not used for regular worship services, but they're reserved for special rituals known as ordinances. Mormons believe they are required in order to become a god in the afterlife. So these are special buildings, and they're very exquisite. Sometimes they're enormous in size and very expensive. Now, according to the LDS Church's own newspaper, the goal of all this temple building, President Nelson has said, is to bring temple ordinances and covenants and blessings closer to each of the 16.5 million members of the church. Now, the number of these temple announcements are really significant. Over Mormon history, there have been 6 LDS presidents who didn't announce any new temples. Founding prophet and President Joseph Smith Jr. had announced 5 temples, but only 2 of those were ever built. So for Nelson to announce 83 temples is really historic, and he's not done yet. LDS members have been promised that eventually the earth will be dotted with thousands of temples, And so the building of temples is an easy way to make the church look successful, to look like it's growing, and to live up to the expectations of the membership. Also, the more that temples are built in more locations, they can serve as billboards advertising the Mormon faith. But they also put pressure on members to make attending the temple more of a priority. And of course, except for a temple open house, members are not allowed inside their own temples unless they have paid their tithe in full. So for the LDS Church, it's a win-win, pulling the people tighter into the religion and motivating them to give financially. There are many other changes that have come to pass during these years that Russell Nelson has been the president of the Mormon Church. Some of them have more significance than others, but you can see that they all seem to affect either how the public perceives the church or how the people feel about being active members. And in many cases, he's trying to make the people happier and more content as church members. So what should we expect in the future from Russell Nelson? Earlier this month, it was reported that the LDS Church was going to open the doors to have female military chaplains. Hasn't happened yet, but there are several women that are preparing for chaplaincy in the U.S. military. This brings the LDS Church closer to giving the priesthood to women. In recent years, a certain segment of the women of the LDS Church have been demanding this, that women would be able to serve as priests. And opening the LDS priesthood to women would be a very significant historic step. It would be, I guess you could almost say, as big as allowing blacks into the priesthood, which occurred in 1978. But Nelson might just be the one bold enough to take such a step at this time in Mormon history. He has already proved he is willing to make any change necessary if he is convinced it can save the Mormon faith. Please help our channel grow by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. And please let me know what you thought of today's video in the comment section. Thank you very much.